Hi, this is Luke from Gorguts, and you're listening to BehindTheMaskPresents.com.
Pat here from BehindTheMaskPresents.com, bringing you a very special guest today. I'm here with Luc Lemay, the main man from behind the death metal band Gorguts. Luc, how are you doing today?
Good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You guys have a new album out as of last September, Colored Sands. A lot of year-end lists for 2013, so congratulations on the new album and the praise it's getting. It's really cool.
Thank you.
How does it feel that you guys can take a 12-year hiatus and still get such a warm reception when you put something out?
Oh, it feels great. I mean, I could never be grateful enough, for the fan and everything. I mean, to be honest, I never expected this kind of buzz around the music, especially from earlier experience, that I had with Obscura and from Wisdom. When back at the time when those records were released, I mean, that we never had this kind of attention, not at all, But this being said, also, that's back in a time when no social media was going on, and we're talking, Obscura in 1998. And then Wisdom from Wisdom came out in 2001. That was like the beginning, of all the social networking and internet. Internet, well, I think, was a big part of getting music around, and to getting it the attention, especially for extreme metal, since it doesn't get the same attention in magazines. I mean, like back in the days, not as much as today, but I mean for back then, So I think that has a big part to play to do in the equation, But this being said, also, I could never be grateful enough with the fans, to have this kind of enthusiasm, around the music. This is great, And also, I think we play a style of music that scare people less than it used to, 15 years ago, So
yeah. Maybe people are a little more used to hearing it now, so they kind of warm up to it.
Exactly.
And plus, I mean, you guys, I consider your music, as far as death metal goes, the actual sound of the music just a little more accessible to the ear.
Okay.
A little more open, a little more expansive. And it's also very masterful as well. So even people who might not appreciate death metal can actually appreciate the musicianship that you guys put forth.
Because often, in this type of music, for non-death metal listeners, what really bugs those people would be the vocals.
Totally.
So and I think maybe on Colored Sand, by having, of course, there's vocals, but I mean, I think it's a record that could have worked well instrumentally. So,
totally. I think so.
by having a wider, spots, with going instrumental, so to speak. It's not like vocals all over the place all the time, So I think maybe that gives the listener a break, for non-death metal fans, maybe for a more progressive type of listeners, So.
All right, and especially the way that's produced too. The vocals aren't the loudest thing in the mix, so it doesn't immediately draw somebody's attention and their ire based off of that. So
exactly, and I really like this, because usually you have like music in the background and vocal really like straight in your face. But now the way I see it, it's like vocals is sitting in the same row as guitars can be or bass can be, and it's more blended. And from my point of view, I like better this aesthetic, I don't need to have a screamer or a growler like straight in my, up front, in the mix. I like this better. So.
Well, and it causes the listener to actually give it a bit more of attention if something isn't just jumping out at them right away.
Exactly.
Going back and and maybe purposefully trying to figure out a lyric cadence or what you're actually saying. If people aren't put off by it right away, then like I said, it just gives it a bit more accessibility to maybe the casual listener.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally.
So in the near future, you guys got the Decibel tour lined up, and that's pretty much one of the most anticipated tours of the year so far. Have you worked with any of the bands on the tour yet before?
No, never played with Noisen, never played with Black Dahlia, and never played with Carcass. So
Really, not even Carcass, huh?
No, never played with Carcass neither in the past. No.
Oh,
No.
that'll be
No.
cool.
But they haven't toured the state much in the past, and us,
No.
we never toured Europe much in the past. We went to Europe like a year or two ago, and it was the second time in 19 years.
Really? Jeez.
So we have a lot of work to do there, and we need to catch up with people. So, So this being said, we never had any opportunities, to join Carcass or Black Dahlia Murder, which are touring machines,
Oh yeah, totally.
Before, so we never toured with any of those bands. So that'll be great.
Well, that'll be cool. So you guys are getting ready to celebrate your 25th anniversary. You got anything lined up special, maybe live, that you guys are going to pull out to kind of
No, to be honest, that haven't really crossed my mind yet. But you're right. 2014 will be the 25th anniversary of the band. So, and actually, Colored Sand was the main reason why I decided, after Steve Hurdle's advice, that I decided to do another record, because even the 20th anniversary didn't cross my mind, because I was kind of done with music back then, and he brought to mind, that it would be nice to offer a record, to the fans. And he was more of an internet, and social media guy. So he was kind of following the buzz around the band, and me, I didn't really pay attention to that at all, because I was not familiar, like, to MySpace and all those things, So So to come back to your question, that was for a 20th anniversary purpose. So maybe I'll be nice to do a little something, for the 25th. We'll see.
Yeah, you said those the internet kind of helped generate a buzz for you guys, kind of in the interim with your absence and everything. And I totally see that, because I remember hearing about you guys when I was in high school, when I first started listening to extreme metal and hearing some songs here and there, and then just even more a few years ago, there was just the name kind of being thrown around, and I was like, wow, I haven't heard this, and it was people younger than me, so it's just kind of weird how that works. It just kind of comes back around full circle. So that being said, do you think there's is there a younger crowd that kind of showing up to your guys' shows that kind of
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally. I mean, and I make some fun with this, when we're at the encore, let's say that like the last tour we did in December, we get to the encore, and we're getting ready to play Orphans of Cygnus from Erosion, so so then I kind of ask the people, maybe a few of yours, were in kindergarten or weren't even born, when I wrote this song, so raise your hand, please, and it's fun, it's cool to make some fun out of that. But this being said, yes, we have fans, which are like on all ages show, which are like 17, 18, 19, or even 20 years old, and they weren't even born, when Consider That came out, or Erosion of Sanity came out. So
totally.
Yeah. So no, it's great, and they love the band as much as if they were there from day one, which is great.
Right.
So I'm really happy, that our craft, is aging well. No need to dye some riffs here,
Right. Yeah. It seems with the younger music. It seems with a lot, especially the younger music fans, they kind of just have a little more zeal for appreciating new music that they're hearing. They're not jaded, and they're not
What means zeal and jaded? What?
They're not. They have just a litlittle more passion for finding new music, and
okay, yeah. Okay.
They're not. They haven't been. What would the word, I guess, be for jaded? I guess they're not as they don't have some pretension in their mind of what they think the music that they're listening to should sound like. So
yeah.
They're a little more apt to hearing something new, even if it is something older.
Yeah, passionate, totally passionate about well-crafted metal and heavy, brutal, compositions and stuff. This is great. Yeah. They
So,
like their metal for sure.
do you take time now that you've been around for 25 years to kind of look back in retrospect to some of the things that you've done, or do you just, are you just focusing kind of on the moving forward and just with your creative endeavors, or is there time for for reflection on stuff like that at the end of the day? Do you think?
Not really. I don't
Yeah.
put much energy in this, I'm really, but this being said, I'm really, really proud, of what the band's accomplished. That's why also like in 2002 or something,
Hmm.
I kind of put the guitar in the case, and I was done with it, but with
Right.
no bitterness. I was really, really proud, of what the band's accomplished, and personally, I was just ready to do something else,
Hmm.
I've always liked working with my hands, so I started woodworking, and then I ended up in woodworking full time for 10 years, But and then when Big Steve asked me to join Negativa, I said, yeah, this is fine, but that I was never driven with an unfinished business feeling, or really need to surf on my old accomplishments,
Hmm.
or not at all. No, no.
Didn't have
So I
nothing to
think
prove to anybody.
no, no. So I think it's a more looking forward attitude than got to go to Europe and finally play some obscura music.
Right.
I mean, back in the days, we were more disappointed, back in the days, like in 90, because we wrote Obscura in 93, 94, and
Hmm.
so all those years, 94, 95, 96, 97, nothing going on with this, so we were maybe more bitter and more frustrated, with our music not being able, to cross, to go further than the rehearsing room,
Right.
but this being said, again, we didn't have all the tools that we have today. Now
Hmm.
you write a record in your bedroom, and first thing you know, there's some people in Japan, that knows about your music.
Hmm.
Me, I remember in 89, 90, and even 88, doing a lot of tape trading. So it was always like an event, getting a letter or a package, from Sweden or from Europe,
Right. Right.
with a tape in there. It was like we were far from a MP3 file, click and listen, and texting at the same time, So
Totally.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, no,
So
no. So yeah, it's more the future project that get my attention.
that's very cool. That's very cool. You mentioned music and kind of how technology work together. Do you now with that? Do you feel that there's kind of maybe an emphasis kind of shifting away from actual musicianship and actually being able to play your instrument when it comes to what music software can do nowadays with a lot of this stuff? I mean, you don't even really, you don't even have to have a guitar to actually be able to compose some of this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, but at the end of the day, technology doesn't give you ideas. I think,
Hmm.
I mean, maybe in a way, but especially like lately, I've been looking to a lot of videos about orchestral software, and orchestral libraries, because I'm into I want to educate myself, in this,
Hmm.
to write more classical music, this and that, and having those great samples, and even like you're saying, having a software that can play guitar for you or whatever. uh, at the end of the day, you need to sit down, and that's not gonna. Those are tools.
Hmm.
Those
Yeah.
those are not. How can I? It's not a creativity pill that you can swallow, and all of a
Right.
sudden, you get like the riff or And I don't say that pretentiously, but I think, I'm more from an old school way of thinking. Again, I said that a couple times in interview. Even if you're a great writer and you can spell with never spelling mistake, you're a great writer, and you're amazing with orthograph spelling,
Hmm.
that's not going to bring you great stories. That doesn't mean that you're going to have a great story to tell.
Totally.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
so I see the same way with music. So you need to sit down and do your chops, and work with the instrument and understand the instrument. And composition as a reflection, or a way of thinking, doesn't it's not something that comes to you overnight. It's something
Mm-hmm.
that you need it's a way of thinking. It's to conceive stories with sounds, and create an atmosphere and everything. So it's a hands-on approach. That's how I see it. Same thing with painting, same thing with poetry, same thing with you really need it's a reflection. Even the more
Mm-hmm.
tools we have, this and that, you still need to sit down and just do it. And having a reflection, or work on a thought, or wanting to express something. So
Right. No, completely. Yeah. I mean that.
yeah.
I think that also with some of the bands that might be lumped into the genre, the extreme music genre. I feel that some of their emphasis might be a little more on the individual's performance, especially the technicality of it,
Hmm.
instead of the actual, the bigger picture
Hmm.
with, composition and mood, and
Yeah.
how the music actually moves and actually affects people. And so
Yeah.
I think a lot of it kind of misses the mark because of that, because it usually winds up coming off kind of sterile and.
Yeah, but maybe that's more in a youngster approach. Like
Mhm.
I had my times, wanted
Right.
to show everybody how of a tech player I can be, and
Hmm.
like back in the times when we wrote Erosion, I was more interested in a guitaristic technicality
Hmm.
instead of composition as a craft of expressing ideas. So I was thinking metal more as a guitarist approach instead of composition as for the sake of composition.
Right.
That's why I often say, with a step back and with the experience, I got through writing the records, I see myself more as a composer more than a guitar player. Guitar
Hmm.
with a step back, it just happened. That's the reflection I had. Because
Hmm.
first thing first, if I don't have any shows or don't need to write any music, I'm not attracted by playing guitar for the sake of playing guitar. That doesn't
Right.
speak to me much.
Hmm.
But love playing live, love writing. But it just happened that guitar was the tool that got on my way. So, and I felt comfortable expressing myself through the aesthetic of metal.
Right. Right. Right.
But playing guitar for playing guitar, no. So I see myself more. And me, what turns me on as a musician is being in the studio and listening to the final picture and
Hmm.
crafting the final picture. And even if we wouldn't play live much after, then that's fine with me, because I got my fix making the record. Me, it's making records that really turns me on.
Hmm.
So and it's the arrangement and listening to the sound, and all all the arrangement, because it's closer to orchestration. What turns me on in classical music when you craft a piece. So it's
Hmm.
I see making records in the studio and crafting classical music and orchestration very, very close worlds. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely. Do you have any classical compositions that you're currently working on that you're looking to see maybe see the light of day, or can we see a?
No, not as we speak, but I kind of put woodworking on the side. I even
Yeah.
even put all the tools to storage and everything. I'm gonna carve on the side a bit,
Hmm.
because locally, I made myself a name for my business. I'm doing a lot of carving and doing
That's really cool. So.
signs for businesses, and
Hmm.
and I ended up building a lot of furnitures and even making kitchens for new houses and stuff like that, and making custom made furniture for all kind of situation. But now having I decided to put more energy in the band, because leading a business and taking care of the band, you get spread out so thin that you don't get
Hmm.
anything done. And I'll be ashamed of with the attention the band is having now, not taking care of it. That'll be stupid. I'll have enough time in my 50s, to build tables and to do those cabinets, and so now it's my time is more my mind is more focused on music. And this being said, I got, by having the string piece on the record and everything, I really feel like it's time for me to like undust those tools that I got in school, and I really feel like writing classical music again. I have ideas, but it's a matter, of taking the time, through the touring and everything to. But in the next couple months, couple years, I'll be working on new music again for sure.
So, do you think if you actually were to get something kind of performed, do you think you'd be the conductor? Do you think you'd see yourself up there in the tuxedo with the tails and the white gloves and everything?
I did some conducting at school, but
Oh, really?
I would, yeah, but I mean, it was with a bunch of friends with with chamber music, ensemble. Because I remember in some class we had to do work in group, and there was a string quartet and a pianist, and I did for my own pleasure, an arrangement of one of Penderecki's prelude for one of his opera, Paradise Lost, and I took the prelude and shrinked it. Which was written for orchestra, but I shrinked it for a string quartet and a piano, and I had that sitting in my drawers. So for the activity, I decided, I have this arrangement that I did, so I brought it in school, and the quintet played it, and I conducted it. So, but that's the only experience. And also I did some arrangement. That's true, for a big band, which was for like a vaudeville show, with all kind of performers. And I conducted one of the evenings because since I did all the arrangements for the show, there were like trombones and trumpets, like a vaudeville band, and one of the evenings the conductor couldn't make it, so I ended up conducting one of the evenings, so that's the only experience I have. But I would really need to train myself and educate myself for that, because that's a craft of its own.
Oh yeah, my wife has a degree in music, and she told me that it's one of the most difficult things to do in music. When she was going to music school, she kind of thought about going down that road, and she said, "Yeah, no way." So
big responsibility, more than what people can think.
Oh yeah, I mean it's way more than just kind of keeping time. So which
no. It's it's a big responsibility.
Right. Now you were talking about aesthetics, especially with your music. Now I would kind of consider the aesthetics of Gorguts to slightly vary from what you would consider traditional death metal. The lyrics aren't completely filled with gore, and just different ways of horrible death, and things like that. So was this a conscious decision on your part early on to kind of set yourself apart from other bands, or was it just what inspired you to just move forward with kind of the different things that you write about?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was like everybody, I was attracted by this style of writing, and and I didn't knew any better, back then, and it was great, and at some point with Obscura especially, and even Erosion was more a bit gory, but not much, and heading more fantastic or kind of mysterious storytelling, fantasy, whatever. And then it was really from Obscura, that the bridge, we cut the bridge, and we went into a more philosophical, and I think it's more philosophical in writing. And that was Big Steve, that brought all the Osho reading, because he was really a big fan of Osho Rajneesh when we wrote Obscura, and I thought it was really interesting, So he was feeding me with those topics, and so we would all share the writing for those lyrics. And from there, I didn't feel any more interest. There's band, that they do that, talk about the gory stuff and everything, and it's fine, But me, I just feel that I don't have anything to say in that field anymore.
Fair enough.
And I'm more attracted by historical and like the thing I did on the last record. When I first started reading about Tibet, I thought it was a very interesting topic, and I felt that I had something to say individually, on that. So, and I think it works fine even in the context of death metal. So.
No, I think it works great, and it brings to light, and again, it brings up new concepts or maybe new cultures that people might not have known about previously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's refreshing, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm scratching a surface with those topic, and from there,
Mhm.
any a youngster or any people, from there they can make their own decisions and make their own opinion,
Right, totally.
because I don't point any fingers, in those lyrics on Colored Sand. I mean, I scratch a surface, and I just I take a mirror and show a picture with my mirror, and
Hmm.
from there you can make your own opinion and push it further. I don't like the finger pointing thing,
Hmm.
so and I didn't really needed to point any fingers in that topic because
No.
everybody knows that what happened there,
Right,
so
right.
I didn't feel like starting to even in the artwork, to
Hmm.
paint like a Chinese soldier with a gun killing a Tibetan monk. We don't need to see
Right.
that, so yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean, your lyrics actually, in the whole themes of the album, really portray a sense of empathy and reverence for the Tibetan people and their culture.
yep.
But again, like you said, it's not a overall condemnation of the Chinese government or from 60 years ago with what they did.
No.
So how do you in this day and age like kind of walk that fine line between just being preachy and kind of being political and just kind of just like you said, scratching the surface with a bit of enlightenment
Mhm.
to something new that people might not have heard about before?
But also, I didn't want it. I didn't feel like I had like a political mission with that record.
Hmm.
Me, I always approached it from a storytelling epic point of view.
Okay.
Let's say if you watch a movie like A 7 Year in Tibet, which is a true story,
Hmm.
there's a
Hmm.
huge political purpose in that story, but that's not the first thing. You don't feel like watching a documentary when you watch this,
Right.
or read this story, So
Right.
that's the angle that I really wanted to bring on the record. I wanted to bring some a bit of fantasy and a bit of and also a bit of how do you amazement.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't like the word amazement. I'm sorry because I'm stuck with the French reflection here.
Oh, it's fine.
When you're I mean when you're blown away by something or totally impressed or in
Hmm.
awe, so
Yeah, totally.
geographically that's a feeling that I had towards their country. And then
Hmm.
when you start reading about on their culture and this and that, there's amazing stories to be told
Hmm.
about their philosophy and it's just the place where they live, so
Yeah.
that's the angle that I wanted to have with the record. And then we all know what happened there, and from there.
Right.
But this being said, I never took like a political, like hardcore voice, and
Right. Right.
in my writing, and and also, writing lyrics has always been a drag for me because it's not the part that I really enjoy the most in the music process, in
Hmm.
the writing process. But this is starting to change, because it's the first time with Colored Sand that I waited to have all the music finished to even write one line. So we even record all the music, and from there I started to write on work on the lyrics. And so all my focus was on the words and the story and on the topic. So I had to read a lot of books and educate myself on this. And also I'm French, imagine also I need to write poetry at a second, third degree in a language which is not my own. Okay, I can speak English, we can, like
Hmm.
we're talking now, but I don't have the same thinking mechanism, as an American poet, so to
Hmm.
speak.
Hmm.
So it's a bigger task, for my brain or my thoughts, to go in this process, But this, but it's very. I really appreciate doing it more than I used to in the past. My
Hmm.
my way of seeing this task has really changed. From the process of writing the lyrics on Colored Sand. I even have an English friend that lent me 2 books on American poetry, and there's of course there's Robert Frost, there's Frost in there, and those kind of people, and I'm starting to enjoy poetry as a craft more, than I used to. Yeah, because I was never attracted. I never felt like sitting down with a book of poetry and reading poetry for the sake of reading poetry. So imagine having to write poetry, So I found it like a task and like a burden a bit, like a little rock in my shoe,
Right.
but now I see it really differently, and my way of seeing it really changed it, So so that's it with the lyrics, but yeah.
Okay. Do you have any plans to visit Tibet in the near future, or?
Of course, I'd like to see it, but that seems like a complicated place to go for vacation.
It really does.
Yeah, and it's so sad, to see what happened there,
Well, and it still continues. It still continues to this day too, and it's just
yeah. Did you seen? I don't know if you saw if you saw that in a previous interview that I did. There's this documentary that a Tibetan made that she lives here in Montreal, and it's called "What Remains of Us." Have you heard about this movie?
I've heard of it. I have not actually seen it. No, I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it.
You can watch it on YouTube if you have a chance. Go take a look at this. It's gonna leave. It can't leave you with no impression. It's very it's a very shocking story. So.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously aren't the first musician to kind of take a stance or even kind of bring up the topic of Tibet in the mid '90s. I know there were a lot of musicians. The Tibetan Freedom concert going on, and there was a lot of other things going on. But yeah, it seems like, especially in this day and age with the 24-hour news cycle, just kind of stories like that about countries that are far away, very small, stuff like that happens.
Isolated.
Right, very isolated, especially because under the regime that they're under, the Chinese, so a lot of news isn't going to get out anyways.
Yeah.
But there does seem to be, every couple of years, it just seems to pop up back in the news again. And it kind of, I mean, it makes an attempt to bring the plight of these people kind of to the forefront of our minds, but I think it kind of misses the mark a lot of times. Just like I said, just kind of in the culture that we're in, we kind of push things aside if they're not really real right in front of our faces, if we don't have to deal with them every day.
Yeah. But me, that wasn't the door of entrance, this misery that's going out there, Me, the door of entrance was really the fascination for mandalas. That's why Colored Sand was even in my mind as a title before I started writing any lyrics, even when I was writing the first song, the first music,
Right.
Because that was the door, that was the opening door, for that topic. And then reading on mandalas, that brought me to the Dalai Lama topic. And then the Dalai Lama topic brought me to a more political angle. And then I start, holy smoke, I knew trouble were going there, but I never when I really start reading on the real situation, that really, because of course in the 90s I heard about those concerts, this and that, and to be honest, that never really caught my attention,
Yeah, no, mine either. I kind of knew about Tibet on maybe the surface or kind of just a superficial knowledge of it. And even then in history class as well, all you really learn is that they were once a sovereign country, China took over, and that's that, basically.
Exactly, that's it, yeah. So anyway, very interesting culture.
And yeah, you mentioned mandalas, and mandalas are usually circular in nature, and I kind of see overall themes of kind of a mystical, kind of Asian type themes, and especially in the new album. And I think it's very, very cool, just kind of how you interpreted these things. So
thank you.
Obviously, I don't know specifically your vision because only you would, but especially the song "Colored Sands" and a lot of the themes I find very interesting, intriguing, and very refreshing. So.
Thank you. Yeah, because at first my idea was to make the whole record about the ritual of drawing mandalas.
Yeah, I read that.
But to spread this out on 8 or 9 songs, I was kind of sterile, I mean, with all the respect I have for this craft,
Right.
and ritual, but and I would have kind of lost like the epic tone of voice, to sing about this culture, So I didn't feel like to do a documentary, neither,
Right. Right.
So
Right.
that's why I narrowed it within one song instead of 8, and it gave
Right.
more room to talk about geography, culture, philosophy, invasion, exile, and nonviolence questioning. So it was way wider this way. Yeah.
No, I like I said, I think this album is very masterfully your vision that you wanted to portray. I think you very masterfully have done it with what you've recorded. So kudos to you. Thank you for taking the time today to do this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks to you.
And I'm humbled being able to talk to you. So
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good one. Okay, au revoir. Bye bye.